Hello, Kola. Good evening.
Hello, Karen.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Karen. How you doing? I can hear you.
I'm fine. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Okay. So,
Okay. AD is from Owerri. Okay. Nice to meet all of us, everyone. So I already went through the meeting etiquette, but please, those of us joining, let's familiarize ourselves with it. We can have a seamless lecture today. And in case you're just the title of our classroom today is Techniques in Data Summary and Web Scraping using Microsoft Excel. And our speaker for today is Kolawole David. He's the program director at Tech Real Limited, and he has an MSc in Integrated Petroleum Engineering and Production Studies. So he is from the oil and gas. He has an oil and gas background, like most of us on this call, and he has a national diploma and BSc in Material Engineering. So he was a trainee engineer at Engineering Limited from 20 to 2016. He then went on to do a postgraduate research intern at Shell Petroleum Development Company in 2018. And then he then became the project engineer at Steve Doris Stallion Limited from 2019, and he has been doing that part-time till date. He is currently the program director and instructor at Tech Real Limited full-time, and Tech Real is a company that is geared towards providing IT solutions using data analytics, data analysis, and information intelligence to basically help make managerial and project decisions. So everyone, join me. Welcome our speaker for today, Kolawole David. David, it's so nice to have you on board. So I'll stop sharing my screen right about now so you can launch right into it.
Okay, thanks so much, Karen. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah, I want to appreciate all the organizers for having me on board. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen. So kindly indicate when you can see my screen, or just let me know if you can see my screen. So good evening, everyone.
So I can see your screen, David.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So good evening, everyone. Um, we'll be talking about techniques in data summary and introduction to web scraping. Um, I will encourage that we all open our spreadsheets. That's the data we are going to use for the class. Let's try to make it a practical class. So I always encourage that while the instructor is engaging you, you also try to practice. Or if you are someone that will prefer listening and practice, then you could settle with whatever works for you. So we have a lot to cover today, so I will try as much as possible to be fast. Okay, so as we all know, we are in the area of big data, and it's needful that we try to summarize our data to a point where we can take effective or conscious business decisions. And for this class, one of the tool we'll be using is a popular Microsoft Excel. And of course, we know Microsoft Excel is a very powerful spreadsheet tool. Of course, there are other tools used in data analytics or data analysis. So we'll be using Microsoft Excel, and we'll be cutting across different functions like the subtotal function, the data consolidation function, the sum if function, sum ifs function as well. We'll also be talking about we'll also talk about the array formula. Then we can do a brief introduction to web scraping. Okay, So having said that, I think we are good to go. Let me just confirm that one or say 1 to 3, 5 persons have their worksheets opened and you have the data right in front of you. So if you have your worksheet opened and you have your data in front of you, just send a message. So just before we continue, so anyone with the worksheet, anyone with data, okay. Fantastic. Okay, so Damilola Akinola has his workbook open. Okay, great. So great. So that will make class very interactive, and of course, we'll get the best from the class. Okay, so before us is a data set which we'll be using, and it's a very simple data set which has different columns: the name, region, account type, date, cost of goods, the number of just say the number of the goods. That's the number of goods to be bought. We also have the revenue column, we have the product, and we also have discount. So as we all know, there are different techniques in data summary, and that which we'll be dealing with is the subtotal function. Now, as a healthy way of attending to your data, is needful that you either duplicate your data, that's the original data set, or you copy and paste in a different worksheet. So for my subtotal function worksheet, I could either come to my raw data, highlight the first cell, use my Control A to copy, or to highlight, then copy, then come to my subtotal function worksheet, then paste it, okay, great. Yes, so I'll take your questions one after the other. Okay, so first, I'll be teaching you two methods by which you can copy your data. It is either you duplicate your worksheet or you copy the data from your raw data worksheet to a different worksheet or to this worksheet of interest. So I have taught you how to copy this. I can repeat the process. Remember, if you want to, you can either put your cursor on the point of intersection of your row and columns, where you are given the opportunity to highlight all your data set, or you just place your cursor on the first cell, that's your A1 cell, and you press your Control A, then it highlights all the data sets of interest. Then you can now press your Control C. By pressing your Control C, you then come here and you paste. I've pasted mine already. However, another alternative is you try to duplicate your raw data. This is your raw data worksheet. Right click on it. Then when you come to this, your raw data, then you see where you have your move or copy. So when you click on your move or copy, you see a point where you have create a copy. So when you create a copy, then you click OK. Now you see that your raw data worksheet has been duplicated. So since your raw data worksheet has been duplicated, you can either rename it. Now let me rename mine to subtotal function 2. Subtotal function 2. Then I'm going to shift it from this point to this point. So I have my raw data, I have my subtotal function 2, and I have my subtotal function here. So you see, what have we done? We have successfully duplicated our original data set, which is this raw data. We have successfully duplicated it. So I have it here. Now I'm going to perform the subtotal function on this very worksheet. So I just taught you two ways by which you could copy your original data set or duplicate your original data set. Is either you create an extra worksheet by duplicating this, or you copy the content of this worksheet and you paste it in a different worksheet. Having said that, I think we are good to go. We can move on now. Okay, let me attend to the question. Okay, are you there? How do we? So, Joshua, have you been able to duplicate your worksheet? Have you been able to duplicate your worksheet? Or you have copied it from a different, from the raw data worksheet to a different worksheet? So because of time, Joshua, I want to believe okay, great. So Joshua,
If you're clear or not.
Okay, yes, Joshua has
just go ahead. Okay, it's confirmed. Okay. Thank you, Joshua.
Yeah. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I said subtotal function is one of the techniques of summarizing your data. So it's needful that you understand your data, you know what you want to achieve or what you want to summarize, after which you can take whatever decision you want to take. Now, if our manager tells us that, oh, you have different customers who are in different regions, they have actually carried out different transactions and they bought different goods that, of course, your company is selling. And for each of the customers, you have Mr. John, you have Mr. Peter, you have Mr. Matthew, Shegun, and the likes. So your manager now tells you, oh, kindly help me summarize all of this data so that for each of the customer, I can get a revenue. I can get the revenue, the number of goods sold, the discount achieved, and all. So, okay, so if you have copied the data to a new worksheet, please feel free, don't worry, just continue from there. So any method that works for you, just so we can save time. Okay, so like I said, in an attempt to summarize your data such that you want to get a value for each of your customers, say all of these numerical values. You want to get a value for each of your customers, say you want to summarize your revenue, your discounts, your number of goods sold, and the cost of goods sold per customer, per client. You want to summarize each of it. Now, this data has been designed such that we can easily relate with it. We can easily relate with whatever function we are trying to learn. Now, let's go. The first thing you're going to do, you're going to have to sort all the names of interest. So you're going to have to sort the names of interest. You remember your manager has asked you to summarize with respect to the name. You understand? The respect to the name or to the name of the clients you have that have carried out transactions with your company. So you are going to sort this using the A to Z function. So if I place my cursor on John and I click on the A to Z function, sort A to Z, what happens? I have all the customers sorted alphabetically. The names of the customers have been sorted alphabetically. You must not also forget that we have a data set of over or exactly 805 rows. So imagine you cannot summarize this data by attending to it manually. You have to use some techniques to be able to summarize this data. The next question is, why do you have to use your A to Z function to sort all your names alphabetically? You have to do this because if you don't sort your component of interest alphabetically, if you are to carry out the subtotal function, your Microsoft Excel tool might pause or might take forever before you can achieve that function. So it's needful that you summarize, you sort it using the A to Z sort function. Okay, or A to Z sort command. Haven't done that, then we click on data. You click on your data tab and you come to your subtotal. You click on your data tab and you come to what? You click on the word subtotal function. Please don't forget, depending on the version of Microsoft Excel that you are using, you might not get your subtotal function directly under your data tab. So you might want to take your time and look for your subtotal function intuitively. So having done that, on the dialog box that pops up now gives you the name, that's the component of interest, the column of interest that you want to summarize. You want to summarize all of these transactions with respect to the name. Now, if you click on this drop down, you will see that you have other parameters that you can summarize your data. You can summarize your data with respect to the region. You can summarize your data with respect to the account type. You can even summarize your data with respect to the date. So whichever one works for you or whichever target it is, then you could just pick amongst the following options. Having done that, let's leave it at name. Now, the function to use, we want to summarize, we want to know the total revenue per customer, the total number of goods or cost of goods. So this part of my dialog, my subtotal dialog box, gives me the option to carry out different functions. I could either do sum, I could either do a count, average, max, min, product. So let's leave it at sum for now. Now, this part of my dialog box, that's the add subtotal, you are going to highlight or select the areas of interest or the parameters you want to summarize. Now, don't forget that this part of your subtotal dialog box is arithmetically oriented or numerically oriented. By numerically oriented, I mean if you have data components which are strings or words, the subtotal function will not attend to it. You just have 0 all through. So for this, you are going to be clicking discount. Discounts are numerical data. Product. Let me click product. Product. Look at the product column. Your product column is they are string. It's not a numerical data, but I'm still going to click it. That's to show you the difference. Now this is your revenue. Is numerically oriented. Number of the goods sold is also numerically oriented. Cost is already numerically oriented. So I've clicked all of this. By clicking all of this, I will just ensure that I also select replace current subtotal. That's if you have an existing subtotal already calculated, you select this. Some summary below data, you also select this. You can leave this, you don't need to select this. Then we go straight to clicking OK. When I click OK now, see what happens. By clicking OK, I have been able to summarize my original data set into 3 sub-sheets. So let's click on the first worksheet. What do we have? The first worksheet gives us a grand total of all my summarized parameters. So I have a grand total showing me the cost of goods. This is the total cost of goods. This is the total number of goods. This is the total revenue. You can see the product is 0. Why is it 0? This contains strings, letters. So the subtotal function will not have any effect, but it will just give you 0. Why for your discount, the total discount for all the customers that carried out transactions with your company is also given a value. Now let's click on the second worksheet. The second worksheet, as you can see, Excel has successfully summarized all my data sets, all my customers exclusively into each of the customers, meaning Mr. Ahmed, the total cost of goods bought from your company by Mr. Ahmed is this, the number of goods is this, the revenue generated by Mr. Ahmed for your company is this, and the discount given to Mr. Ahmed is this. So By doing this, you see that you have been able to summarize each of your different data components into the specifics. So you could have a different data set where you have different fields for production. You could have the common field, tunnel field, and what have you, and you have different production data as well. Then you might want to summarize each of your production values into different fields. You can use your subtotal function to carry out this as well. So that brings me to the end of my subtotal function. However, I'm going to take it a little step further, and that is to copy your summarized data to a different worksheet. Okay, let me quickly check the question session if there is any question. Or Karen, should I continue?
There are no questions for now, so let's just go ahead. If people need more clarifications, we can just tune in. So for those of us that, okay, there's a question. Kelvin, you have a question. Do you want to unmute yourself or you ask in the chat box?
Okay, so yeah, okay, Mr.
Okay, so let me just unmute Kelvin.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, so I've asked you to unmute, so can you unmute yourself and come on?
Good evening, all. Thank you very much for your time. Please, my question goes as, how do I sort by A to Z? Because actually cannot do that. That's the truth. So I don't know if the lecturer can actually throw a little light on how we can go about that. Thank you.
Okay, so your question has been noted, Mr. Kelvin. Okay, so like I mentioned, going back to our original data, use your A to Z sort command to actually sort your data set or your component data set of interest alphabetically. So what do? I place my cursor on this, on Mr. John. I just place my cursor on John, that cell having John as its content. So placing my cursor here, I just come and click. Of course, under my home tab, I come and click the A to Z command. Of course, there are different options: sort A to Z, sort Z to A, and this is what I want to achieve alphabetically from A to Z. Then I click on A to Z. Then what do I have? Is automatically sorted. So you don't need to worry yourself when Excel is sorting all your data sets or your data, yes, your data set. It sorts carrying all of the different connected data components or data values alongside, meaning this Ahmed, all these other parameters like the region, account type, date, everything automatically goes along with it when it is sorting. So everything is automatically arranged while it is what? Sorting your data set. So I don't know if I've answered Mr. Kelvin's question. Okay, great. Okay, great. So having done that, we have, if you followed me closely, you will see that you have successfully summarized your data set into 3 sub-sheets. The first sub-sheet gives you, sub-sheet number 1 gives you a grand total. Sub-sheet number 2 gives you each prospective customer or each respective customer and the different transactions with which they contributed to the whole data set. That is the second worksheet. While the third worksheet gives you your original data set. Now, the next question is, if you find yourself in an instance where you need to copy, okay, we haven't seen what is in the subsheet 3. Okay, let me see. Okay, please, okay, let me continue. I think I'll try to attend to the questions later so I don't divide the class. Okay, Now,
Caller, I think you should just go ahead. I'll try to reply the questions in the chat section. I'll chat them up, replying their answers. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much. Yeah. So these are the different subsheets. My subsheet one, on clicking on the subsheet one, I have the grand total telling me all the cost of goods, the number of good revenue for all the customers. The subsheet two gives me a summarized version of each of the customers' transaction and what they have contributed to the company. I also made reference that you might be in a situation where you have different fields and you have different wells. Probably, okay, maybe this time you have a particular field and there are different wells. Then it depends on how you receive your production data. You might now want to summarize production per well. Then you could use your subtotal function to achieve this. Now, this is what my subsheet 2 gives me. On clicking on subsheet 3, it takes me back to the original data set. However, in an instance where your manager tells you to copy, the Ctrl+C might not help you achieve this purpose. Yes, Ctrl+C, meaning if I highlight all this data set of interest and I copy it, and I use the Ctrl+C to copy it, I won't be able to achieve it. Why? Because this is a compressed data set. This is a what? A compressed data set. However, what is the way out? First, let me remind you that the plus sign beside each data set or each component data set, like the plus sign beside Mr. Ahmed, if I click on the plus sign, what do I have? I have the total or the whole transaction by Mr. Ahmed. If I click on the negative sign, I compress all transactions by Mr. Ahmed. You can see for yourself, from moving from Mr. Ahmed to Mr. Bastos. Mr. Ahmed is 47. All total sales occupied by Mr. Ahmed is about 47. Mr. Bastos continues from 81, and there you go for the rest of the customers. Now, you will see that this is a compressed data set, a compressed data set. How do you copy content of a compressed data set to a different worksheet? That is what this worksheet is talking about. Some summary pasting, summary pasting. So what do? I can create a different worksheet, of course, for this class. I want to copy all of these summarized data sets. I want to copy to this new worksheet which I've just created. So what do? First, you highlight your compressed data set of interest or your summarized data set of interest. Then you come to under your home tab. If you click go to special, you see where you have visible cells only. If you click on visible cells only and you click OK, you will see that Excel has highlighted the visible cells of interest. The next thing you're going to do is to click Ctrl+C now. By clicking Ctrl+C, Excel has copied the visible cells of interest. Excel has copied the visible cells of interest. So I'm going to repeat this process all over again. I press my escape. I'm going to repeat this process all over again. What are we trying to achieve? We have successfully summarized our data set using the subtotal function. The next thing you want to do is to copy this summarized data set to a different worksheet. Perhaps your manager says, oh, you need this summarized data set, is the report he wants you to submit. Then what do? You first of all highlight your worksheet, your visible cells, or your cells, your table of interest. As soon as you have highlighted this compressed data set, then you come to your find and select command. Then you click your go to special. By clicking your go to special, a dialog box appears. You look for visible cells only. If you click on visible cells only and you click OK, Excel will now highlight the visible cells, leaving the hidden cells. Then you can then click Control C. By clicking Control C, this data set has been copied. Then you come to this point and you paste. Then you can successfully paste your summarized data set. Please have it. You could also try it without going through the process I went through, without going through go to special. You could try it. You will see that you cannot copy a compressed data set without taking the hidden data set. So I have been able to tell you how to copy a summarized data set. Let me see if there is any question I can attend to just before I move to the next function. Okay. That's
Okay,
fine.
so there's a question, Kola.
Okay,
So it's from Allow. I'm very sorry if I mispronounce your name wrongly. I'm not really good with pronouncing names. From Allow Day. I replied him, but I just want you to explain because I think it'll be a good learning for everyone. So he says his question is regarding the subtotal function. Does the function see the first row as the heading, or there is a way to change the row to be taken as the reference heading? So I replied him that he sees the first row as heading because I didn't copy my table. I copied all my columns and he saw it as a heading. But I think what we wanted to show us is what if we wanted to see the first row as part of the data set, not the heading? Is there a way to change that?
Okay, you wanted to see the first row as part of.
Is it possible? Yeah.
Okay,
So let's say you have a data set that doesn't have the heading. It starts from the first column. Yes.
Okay. So most times row as the heading. Most times Excel automatically sees your first row as the heading. Now, in a case where you want Excel to do something else or do otherwise, it's now you might want to change everything manually, but most times always know that the first row of interest is automatically popping up as your heading. I don't know if I've been able to answer that.
Okay, that's clear. So Adewale, I hope you're clear. You can just reply in the chat section. So I think it's clear. Please go ahead.
Okay, great. So guys, we have been able to do our subtotal and we have been able to copy our summarized data to a different worksheet. Moving forward, talking about another data summary technique. We have our data consolidation. A different technique. Okay, so data consolidation being a different technique, but it does the same, it carries out the same function or the same use as that of the subtotal function. So, meaning if you don't want to use your subtotal function, you could fall back on your data consolidation function or your data consolidation command. Now, this time, okay, so to apply our data consolidation command, let's first copy our data to this worksheet. So of course, we will know that yes, we are actually dealing with what? Data consolidation. Let me also remind you that, okay, let me copy the data first. Let me copy, I've copied the data to my data consolidation worksheet. I want to believe we can all do that as well. Okay, great. So, just like I mentioned, your subtotal function is used to summarize. Your data consolidation command is also used to summarize as well. And your subtotal function is more organized than your data consolidation function. So let's practice that and let's see what that gives us. Now, I want to apply my data consolidation function to this data set. I also want to what? Summarize. What do I ensure? What are the things expected of me before I carry this out? First, you must ensure First, you must ensure that your cell of interest, meaning the area you want to copy or summarize your data, is to the right of your worksheet. Yes, this is obvious, meaning I'm going to place my cursor here. Great. Now, the next thing I must ensure is that whatever data component I want to summarize, it must be on the leftmost part of my worksheet. It must be on the leftmost part of my worksheet. Meaning, if I wanted to summarize my name, this name must be on the leftmost part of my worksheet. If I wanted to summarize my region, meaning I want to summarize all these transactions with respect to the region, then the region must be on the leftmost part of my worksheet. Meaning, instead of having my region here, then my region should be on this part. It should come before the name. So either ways, I can also decide to choose to start copying from here when I want to summarize. So I think as I proceed, you understand better. Now, I have highlighted this point, this first cell. The next thing I do is to come to this, my data tab. Then I click on my consolidate command. I click on my consolidate function or command. Now, having clicked on my consolidate function or command, what do I see? I see a dialog box popping up. Now this dialog box tells you, oh, your function, are you summing? Are you carrying out the count? Are you carrying out an average? What have you? On the other hand, you see your reference. The reference is used to copy the data set of interest. The reference is used to copy the data set of interest. So meaning, if I click on this now, I can copy all of this. Now look at where I'm copying from. Okay, let me start from this point. Let me start copying from here so it covers the title as well. So of course, we know there is a shortcut to covering or copying all of my data set of interest. What is that? Control Shift and down. So Control Shift and down, I'm able to copy all of the data set of interest. Then the next thing I do is to ensure that I click my top row and click my left column. By doing this, can I take this out? Okay, by doing this, let me quickly attend to this first. So by doing this, what do I have? I have my data summarized already. So my data has been summarized already. The only difference is I don't have a name on top of my name section. So I can insert the name manually. 1, 2. If you observe closely, you will see that all the data columns which are not numerically oriented, Excel will just omit them. Take for instance, your product column. Excel did not attend to it because it's not numerically oriented. They are strings, they are letters. Excel cannot make meaning out of that. So it has exempted that. You understand? So you have your worksheet. I think this part of your data set or our data set, let me see, that's Desmond. Let me see the date. Okay, so I think there are many dates. Even this date is not even supposed to be summarized because Excel is a bit confused. You understand? You see, the value is giving us. You have different. You almost cannot make meaning out of this. Though it's because they are digits. That's why. So of course you can clean up your data set from this point where you take out this section which you are not using. Of course, you cannot summarize the dates. So this is all your data component of interest where you want to make, what you want to use to make effective business decisions. Then you can analyze them from this point. This is your total cost of goods sold, the number of goods sold, the revenue, and the discount given to each customer. Of course, I can delete this. I can format all of this and ensure that it's giving me something similar to a number with the expected separators. I take out the decimal points. Of course, it's appearing and looking better now. Okay, so of course, you have successfully summarized your data with respect to the different customers which you have that have carried out transactions with your company. So you observe closely that your data consolidation command helps you to achieve the same purpose as your subtotal function. However, you might need to do a little more of data cleaning or data pre-processing after it has done that. And you don't have different worksheet or different subsheet as data as subtotal will give you. So I think that is that on data consolidation. Just before we move to the SUMIF function, let me quickly attend to questions. Okay, I just want to confirm, do we have question on data consolidation, or we are good to go? Okay, so let's quickly move over to the SUMIF function. The SUMIF function. I know before now, a good number of us are already familiar with the SUMIF function. And of course, what do we use our SUMIF function to achieve? The SUMIF function is a function that is popularly used to carry out conditional sums. Conditional sums, meaning when you want to, okay, let me see, I think there's a question. I missed this session. How do I select all for the consolidation? Okay, let me quickly see if I can run over that. Okay, Mr. Okay, sorry, then Nessie. Okay, maybe that's Messi or Nessie. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name well. Okay, for the data consolidation, I said that you could use your subtotal, and if you are not using your subtotal, use your data consolidation. They perform the same function as well together, rather. So copying or summarizing your data using your data consolidation, the first thing you do is to place your cell. You place your cursor on an empty cell of interest to the right part of your worksheet, away from your data. The next thing you ensure is whatever component you want to summarize, it must be on the leftmost part of your worksheet. Meaning this time I summarize with respect to my names or my customers of interest. Then, so from my worksheet, I can see clearly that my name, the name column, is on the leftmost part of my worksheet. The moment you do that, you placing your cursor here, then the next thing you do, you go to your data tab, click on consolidate. When you click on consolidate, this is sum. Since you are summing all of the different transactions or data components per customer, you leave this as sum. Then you click on your reference, the reference icon. Then you highlight all of the data set of interest. Use your control shift down to highlight all of it without scrolling down. Then you come up. Then if I click on my reference, it takes me back to the consolidate dialog box. Then I can ensure that the top row, okay, now this time I might want to take away the top row. Wait just a minute, let me click this and see. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I will leave the top row and still go ahead to do this. I wanted to ensure that the top row is for this part of my worksheet. Then this part of your worksheet or the summarized version is here now. You can put your name manually here, and of course, you clean up your data and you are good to go. So that's that for your consolidate command. Without wasting time, let's move to the SUMIF command. The SUMIF function, like I said, when you want to achieve conditional sums, you patronize your SUMIF function. in an instance where you want to get the total revenue for all your customers. Now, the cost of goods sold is not of interest to you, the discount is not of interest to you, number of goods sold is not of it, every other parameter is not of interest to you. It is just the revenue that is of interest to you. Probably it is just the total production for each well that is of interest to you. What do? Then you copy your name, just copy your name, all the customers of interest, you copy it using your Control Shift down. When you have copied it, of course, I use my Control C. When you have highlighted it, you use your Control C, then you paste it here. Now, what do you observe? You will see that each of the names have been copied, and the title of this my column is called name, unique name with unique in parentheses, meaning I want to copy each of the names uniquely, meaning I don't want a repetition of any of the names. Now, if you can see, this is John. If I scroll down, I will see John again. Now, I just want John to be copied here just once. So what do? I'm going to highlight this column of interest. What do? I remove duplicates. By clicking on remove duplicates, what do you have? Now, Microsoft Excel is telling you, should you expand the selection or continue with current selection? This is the column of interest that I'm interested in. So what do? I click continue with current selection. If I click remove duplicates, what does it do? It gives me a dialog box again that tells me just this column. It's selecting just this name, unique names. Then I click OK. What happens? 786 duplicate values found and removed. 18 unique values remain. Then I click OK. I just have all my names of interest, customers copied uniquely. So, because when you are carrying out the explanation with Microsoft Excel, there's every tendency that people don't understand. So I'll repeat this process again. So what do we want to achieve? The objective of this worksheet is to summarize the transactions, the revenue made by each customer. We want to summarize the revenue brought in by each customer on this worksheet. Now, I told you I'm not concerned with every other component, meaning the cost of goods. I'm not concerned with that. I'm just concerned with the word revenue. And I told you your sum if function is used to carry out conditional sums. Then, how do I go ahead to summarize this data? First, I want to copy my different names, the whole customers. You might have, in another instance, it might be all the wells in your field. You want to copy everything. Okay, good. Let's copy all the names. Let's copy all the names now. What do? I use Control Shift and down, and I press my Control C. Then I come to this part and I paste it inside this unique name unique column. I've pasted into my name unique column. There is still a problem. What is the problem? The problem now is that all of the names are appearing. I just want the names to appear once. I want the customers to appear once. What do? Still under my data tab, I click on remove duplicates. On clicking on remove duplicates, what do I have? There's a dialog box that pops up that tells me, should I expand the selection or continue with current selection? If I say yes, expand the selection, Excel will automatically come and copy all of the other ones, but I don't want that. Interest. So I click on continue with current selection and I click remove duplicates. Then this is validated. Only this unique 786 duplicate values found and removed. 18 unique values remain. Okay. Then I have all my names of interest duplicated. Rather, all the duplicates have been removed. Then I can successfully carry out my sum if function. Now, to summarize the revenue, total revenue per customer, what do? I put my equal sign, of course, the first thing you do before you insert a function, and I type my SUMIF. I want to believe a good number of us are familiar with cell referencing. Of course, we have different types of cell referencing, from mixed cell referencing to relative cell referencing to absolute cell referencing. All of these, we are going to be using these references in this SUMIF function. So please forgive me if I don't shed more light on referencing, but let's continue. So to use my SUMIF function, what do I do? Now, it is very ethical for you, or it is very advisable to follow your instructions when using a function. If I call them follow instructions, as soon as I've typed in my SUMIF function, I see all of these follow instructions. What are the following instructions? I have range, criteria, sum range. So the first thing I'm to insert is my range. Now, what am I choosing from? I'm choosing and summarizing with respect to what? Names. So my range is going to be the name of interest. So of course, I'm going to use my Control Shift and my down arrow key to copy all of the cells of interest. Of course, I go up again. Now I'm going to apply the absolute cell reference to this SUMIF function. What is the shortcut for applying absolute cell referencing? Is F4. So just click on F4. Automatically, this becomes referenced. If I click on F4 again, this becomes referenced as well. Now it's not just referenced, it is absolutely referenced. I put a comma sign. The next thing Excel is asking me, what is the criteria? What is the criteria? In this case, because I want to summarize with respect to each of my names or each of my customers, then I'll click John as the first one. Now, of course, I'm summarizing the criteria for this revenue, which I'm summarizing, is John. Meaning Excel is going to look through all of this data set of interest and is going to pick the total revenue for Mr. John alone. Now, the next thing, if I proceed and put a comma sign to add my sum range, is going to be correct. But the challenge here is I'm only going to be able to calculate for Mr. John. In order to automate this formula and ensure that it is calculated for all of the other guys automatically, what do? I also put this on, I also use my cell referencing on this K2. What do? I'm going to put a $ before K, meaning I am permitting changes across the vertical. I am permitting changes across the vertical, meaning by the time I am done with this formula and I click enter, the moment I scroll down to automatically fill in for all of the different names or customers, is going to automatically fill in for them. But if I omit this $, then I won't be able to automatically fill in. Of course, you know this is a what? A mixed cell reference. And this mixed cell reference, I am permitting changes across the vertical and I am muting changes along the horizontal. I haven't done that. Let's proceed. The next thing Excel is asking me to insert is my sum range. For my sum range, what is my concern? What data am I trying, or what component am I trying to summarize? I am trying to summarize my revenue. So what do? I click on my revenue, I click my Control Shift and down, and I'm good to go. I come back, put all of them in absolute cell reference. And what is the shortcut to doing that? Is your F4, right? Yes, your F4. I haven't done that. I close, put my closing parenthesis, I click enter, boom. Excel has given me the total revenue for only Mr. John. Of course, by double clicking on this, I have the other revenues for the rest of the customers. Now I can just go the extra mile to format this and make it look presentable. I put my separators take out my decimal point. Yeah, I'm good to go. So you have successfully summarized all the revenue for each of the customers in this very transaction. Just before I move over from sum if to sum ifs, if you have any questions, so sum if is another technique for summarizing data. In data science. Of course, this is more or less like a business data. You can apply this as well to your production data or any data set of interest. Oh, Mr. Ojeni, Ojeni Janet said if this fellow didn't get the sum if at all. Okay, let me quickly repeat the sum if here. Let me quickly repeat the sum if here. Let me quickly repeat it here. Okay, so like I mentioned, you can summarize your data in different ways. We have covered subtotal and data consolidation. If you observe closely, subtotal and data consolidation summarizes more than one data component, meaning it will summarize your revenue, your number of goods, your cost of goods, your discount. But in a situation when you want to summarize conditionally just one component, which is in this case it is revenue. Okay, let's say we want to summarize our cost of goods. Let me change this one to cost of goods. Cost of goods. Let's say we want to summarize our cost of goods this time. Now look at what we are going to do. You know, remember I told you the sum if function is the sum if function helps you to carry out sums conditionally, meaning you might want to, I want to carry out the total, in this case I want to carry out the total sum of cost of goods for Mr. John, Mr. Peter, Mr. Matthew, for all of these guys independently, independently. I want to carry out the total, meaning Excel is going to look through all of this data set of interest. It's going to look for every point where you have cost of goods for Mr. John. It's going to add it. Take this is 500 for Mr. John. It will go down again. Oh, see, this is Mr. John again. This is 509.6. It's going to add this to this and continually cumulatively add all of the others that are recorded for Mr. John. Now, this is what we want to achieve. So we want to find the cost, in this case, we want to find the cost of goods sold for Mr. John, the total cost of goods sold for Mr. John alone, and as well as the other guys. So what do we do? Because it is a conditional operation, we then use our sum if function. So what the first thing I said you do is your what? Equal sign. You type your sum if. On clicking your sum if, Excel will ask you what is the range. What is what? The range. Remember, the moment you can fill all of these parameters, you can use your sum if function. So Excel is asking us what is the range. Now, what range are we going to click on? We are going to click on the name. Why are we clicking on the name as our range? Because we are clicking on the name as our range because this is the total names of interest we want Excel to look through. You want Excel to look through all of these names of interest. Then you have to click. So your first point of call, which is this range, is this column. So you are going to copy all of this column downwards. And how do you do that? We are going to use the shortcut Control Shift and down. Control Shift and down. Control Shift and down. Then after we have copied all the names, we cannot go forward. We need to lock this column. Why are we locking it? We want to tell Excel, while you are looking through all of the data set of interests, please, it is only these names you must attend to. Don't do anything outside these names. Don't do anything outside this column. So what do? You use your cell referencing to achieve that. You type F4. or you just put your dollar sign manually. The moment I've attended to my range, Excel is asking me, now, Mr. Kola, insert your criteria. In this case, I'm going to click Mr. John as my first criteria. Why am I clicking Mr. John? Because Mr. John is the first name here, and of course, I will not proceed without putting this in reference, in cell referencing. Now, I'm going to put a dollar sign before letter K, and I'm telling Excel, you can only make changes as you go vertical, meaning when I finish typing my formula, if I want to automatically get the cost of goods sold for Mr. Peter, I don't need to type the formula again. I'll just scroll down. I will use my autofill, and Excel will automatically calculate it for me. Then I put a comma now. I've attended to my criteria. I put a comma. Like the next thing Excel is asking me, what is the sum range? What is the sum range? The sum range in this case is the data component you want to summarize. I want to summarize my no. It's my cost, rather it is my cost of goods sold I want to summarize. This time my cost of goods sold. Then I'm going to use my Control Shift and down to copy all of it. I go back up, then I put them in what? Absolute cell reference. Absolute cell reference. You can either enter it manually, or you use your what? Or use your F4. The moment I click enter, what do we have? We have all the cost of goods that we sold to Mr. John. We have the total here. Then if I click down, if I click the tip, that little box below the cell, highlighted cell, then I've automatically auto-filled the cost of goods for the others. So you have successfully summarized these data sets such that you have all of the different cost of goods sold to each customer. You have summarized it and you are good to go. So because of time, I might want to run away from sum if so we can cover some ifs. Okay, so I know that most times, anytime we are having classes like a class like this, it requires practice. Sometimes you might not get it instantly, but that's why it's needful that we are not emphasizing on PowerPoint, we are emphasizing on the worksheets. The time given to me is quite short, and to get the best out of this class, it's advisable that you follow me and you practice what I've done, and later you can now take your time to understand it perfectly. But of course, it's not magic. It's just also I think with this method we can get the best from the class. Okay, I want to move over to some ifs. I don't know if I don't know if Janet was able to get something from what I just explained. I don't know if it made sense.
Please, you can type in the chat
now. Okay, so moving forward, let's quickly look at our sum ifs. Now, for our sum ifs, we are dealing with more than one condition. I told you your sum functions, your sum if function and sum ifs function, or let me start with my sum if function. I said you use it to carry out conditional sums. Of course, we were restrained or we're limited to just one condition using our sum if. But sum ifs gives you the opportunity to cover many conditions. Now, if your manager calls you and tells you, oh, I want you to summarize each of the transactions carried out by each customer per region. Oh, I want you to tell me the total barrels of oil that was produced per, yes, okay, I don't want to say per region, or no, let me say per field this time. Or what example can I give in the oil and gas right now? Okay, say you want to know the total sand production per field. Yes, you want to know the total sand production per field. Say you have, if you have field in east, you have field in central, you have field in west, you have field in south, you have field in north, or you have, yes, you have wells in the east, central, west, north, south, and north. But this time, with respect to our data set, we are looking at our different clients, the different transactions carried out by the different clients in different regions. So, meaning, and what is the component of, yes, what is the data component of interest? It is what? The revenue. Now, if the board decides that, oh, we want to do digital marketing for all of the different regions, but we would like to spend more money on the regions which we have low patronage, then how do we know the lowest revenue coming from each of the regions? We have our different customers, right? We can place our customers here, that's fine. But if we want to know the different revenue that is gotten per customer from the different region, then how do we go about that? Meaning, we are going to get the total revenue for each of the customer per region. How do we do that? First, we copy all the customers, we copy them from this column, we put them here, we take out duplicates, just the same way we do it for our sum if. Then we can now apply our sum ifs function. So let's copy that, Control Shift and down. I've been able to highlight them. Now I use my Control C, I've copied it now, I paste it here. Of course, I click my escape key. All my names are copied, all the clients or the customers are copied on this column. I want it to be copied uniquely, meaning I want to take out duplicates. Take out duplicates, I click on remove duplicates. I don't need to expand. Of course, all the duplicates are removed. On removing all my duplicates, I now want to find the revenue for each customer per region. Please, I will need your attention here. I will need your attention here as much as possible. Of course, I'm using my sum ifs function, which gives me the opportunity to find the sum for more than 2 conditions. Of course, the condition in this case is my different names and my different region. Now let's go. We put our equal sign, sum ifs. Now, when you are using your sum ifs, the first thing that pops up is your sum range. Remember, while we're using our sum if, the sum range parameter we're asked to insert the sum range parameter at the end of the formula. But for sum ifs, you must insert it at the beginning of your formula. Now, what is our sum range? It is our revenue. We want to find the total revenue for each customer per region. That is the data component we want to summarize actually. So I have clicked on my first revenue. What do? I use my Control Shift and down to copy all of the revenues. Then I come up, I put them, I apply my absolute referencing. I told you the shortcut for doing that is F4. Okay, I put my comma sign. The next thing Excel is asking you, what is your criteria range 1? What is your criteria range 1? In this case, let's make our criteria range 1 the names of interest. The names of what? Interest. Then what do? I copy all of it. I go up. I also put them in what? In absolute cell referencing. As soon as I'm able to do that, I put a comma sign. The next question Excel is asking me, what is my criteria 1? Of course, if my criteria range 1 was the name, Then the criteria one will be what? Name as well, will be John, meaning I have first of all copied my criteria range one, which is my name column. Now the criteria will be what? The first name on this part, saying that Excel, while you are looking through this range, this total, this column, ensure you give me the sum for the revenue for Mr. John alone on this part. However, I told you, if I insert my formula like this, Excel will just give me the answer, the revenue for Mr. John in the east section. But I want to automate this formula. So I'm going to use my mixed cell referencing to make sure this formula is what? Automated. How do I achieve that? Since I want to permit movement along the vertical, what do? I'm going to put a $sign before the letter. So I'm going to put a comma now. The next thing Excel is asking me, what is my criteria range 2? For this case, you know, this is my second condition. I'm going to go to my region, highlight, then go down, then come up again. I do the same thing which I did initially by putting them in what? Absolute cell reference. Then I put a comma sign now. Of course, if this is my criteria range 2, which I've highlighted, then I'll be choosing East as my criteria. Of course, when I'm applying my mixed cell referencing, I'm going to permit movement along the horizontal. To permit movement along the horizontal and stop movement along the vertical, I'll put a $sign after the letter. Now moving forward, what do? I put a comma sign again. At this point, I think I'm good to go. I have put in all my conditions. Please do not forget that you can have as many conditions as possible with your SUMIFS function. So I'm going to put my closing parenthesis and I click enter, and of course, boom, Excel has given me the total revenue for Mr. John in the East section alone. Now, I'm going to confirm if this formula was automated. How do I confirm that? Meaning by using my autofill function or fill concept, I should be able to have all of these populated along the horizontal, the vertical, and for the other part of my cells. Now let's try it. It's correct, and it's correct. It's correct as well. It's correct as well. So as you can see, all of it have been populated and we are good to go. Areas where you have 0 is just telling you for that point you don't have a total, no transaction was carried out there. Of course, you can make business sense from this your summarized data and take any informed decision. I will mention these functions since you are not new to it. You might this function, some of you might be familiar with it, some of you it might be new to you. So like I mentioned, you need to take your time. That's why you have the data set, practice, and perhaps you could look for better ways by which you could attend to questions. Okay, let me look at the chat session. Okay, can you drop a link to the YouTube? Okay, everybody's already asking for the, okay. Okay, guys, can I move on? Karen, please, what time is this class to end?
supposed to end by 8:30.
8:30.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay,
And
okay.
everybody can end for some minutes because I see from the spreadsheet the array form and web scripting parts. So
Yeah,
for
yeah,
finishing
yeah.
to the so anybody that wants to stay to the end, you can stay on. But if you're tired and want to drop off, you can watch the recording on the YouTube channel later.
Okay, okay. I'll try my best to be as to just run through it so we
Okay,
can
so
just
Damola is in for staying to the end. Joshua as well. Isha says he's in too. So I think we are most on the same page. So go ahead, fire on.
okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Um, I think I saw a question regarding what happened at the M, right? Okay, so I mentioned to you that um, okay, so I mentioned to you that your sum ifs function is used for, it gives you the opportunity to make sums for more than one condition, of course multiple conditions. So your first condition was your name, the second condition was the region. That's why you had this criteria range 2 and criteria 2. Okay, so like I mentioned, the criteria range 1 was your name. The criteria 1 was the name which we inserted, of course, but the criteria range 2 was the region. And of course, the criteria 2 was our region of interest. The reason for putting the dollar sign after the letter M is to ensure that we permit movement or changes along the horizontal. Movement or changes along the horizon, meaning if I, after I've gotten this value and I try to autofill for this part, because I have put a dollar sign after the M, then I can as well have values for these other regions, meaning Excel can move to N, give value for N. You can move to O, give value for O. Of course, that is west. You can move to column P, give value for column P, which is your south, and of course for your north as well. So that's why we bring in our cell referencing, either mixed or absolute, and of course we permit the same, we do the same for the names, and we are good to go. Okay, having said that, let's quickly move on. I have something like an engagement, say by just before 9. So let's see how fast we can go. Okay, let's quickly carry out a ARI formula. ARI formula is actually very simple and straight to the point. So say you want to carry out a sum product. Let me quickly copy my data set of interests to my ARI formula work.
Hello, are you there? Can anyone hear him, please? Okay, let's just wait for him to come back up. Yeah, let me chat him up. Okay. Okay, Abdulmalik says he's missing his voice. Okay, so I'm sorry everyone. You know how this our place can be, our country can be. Internet will just disappoint you the most. So just before he comes back, I dropped the YouTube channel on the group chat. So if you want to have access to the YouTube channel, that's fine. I think at this point we might just grab a glass of water, walk around a bit, so that we can just take a short break before he gets back on. And because I'm sending him message on WhatsApp and he's not delivering. However, I have some announcements that I'll have made at the end of the session, but let's just take them now to buy us some time. So aside from this, we have a couple of insightful activities coming up. So we have the webinar series on for the 8th of October, and the title of that series is An Integrated Approach to Well Planning. And our speaker for the day is Alessia Eziwane. She's a well engineer with Shell Nigeria exploration and production company. We have another session titled uh, Geosteering, Industry Best Practices, Pitfalls and Solutions by Kunle Bolomope. He's a well site geologist with Total Nigeria. So we have like packed topic, packed facilitators. Follow us on all our social media platforms so you can be aware. Registration is still ongoing for this session. Register and get the list to participate. We look to see you there. So good news, Kule is back. Sorry, Kola, back up. So let me just make you a host so you can share your screen and then we can go right in. Apologies once again, everyone, for the breaking transmission. Over to you.
Sorry for the break in transmission. I was almost wondering why I was locked out. Okay, guys. Okay, let me share my screen so we continue from where we stopped.
Okay, go ahead.
So please, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen, Kola.
Okay, great. So let's kick off from where we stopped. Okay. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, the array formula is straight to the point. Of course, the array formula actually helps you to do calculations of array-like data components. Array-like data component. By array-like data components, you can either attend to your row. This your row can be likened to an array, or components of all these your columns can be likened to what? An array. In this case, I will just show you how to use your array formula to say you want to find your total revenue in just one cell. Meaning, if you were to get some questions are popping up. Okay, it's not for me. Okay, if you were to get the total revenue for all this transaction in just one cell, what do I mean? Meaning the total revenue in just this cell, meaning you want to multiply the cost of goods and the number of goods and sum everything up together and perform this transaction or this operation at a go within one cell. You use your what? Your array formula. What do you do? In this case, I'm going to be inserting my sum. You might be wondering, why am I inserting my sum? There is a form of intelligence with your array formula that it will, when you insert your sum function, bring in your arrays, you multiply, put a multiplication symbol between your two arrays of interest, and you click your Control Shift and Enter. Excel automatically knows that you want to find the sum product of your columns or arrays of interest. I repeat myself, by just inserting your sum function, putting your arrays of interest with the multiplication symbol in between, and ending the function with a Control Shift and Enter, Excel automatically finds the sum product of all the what? Arrays of interest. Now let's insert our arrays. This time I said we want to multiply these two columns, column E and column F. I'm going to copy, Control Shift and down. Yes, good. Okay. I didn't put my open parentheses. Okay, yeah, so let's put Control Shift and down. You're good to go. Come up again. So you just put your multiplication symbol. Then let's copy our second column of interest. Control Shift and down as well. We are good to go. Then I put my closing parentheses. Of course, we are putting our two arrays. That is not enough. I told you what makes the array formula exceptional is ending it with a Control Shift and Enter instruction. So after you have inserted your arrays of interest and you're putting your multiplication sign, then just click Control Shift and Enter simultaneously. Then you will get the total. You get the total revenue or the sum product for all the revenues of interest. Of course, we are good to go. So that's that with your array formula. Don't forget, you can use your array formula for different things, meaning you can use your array formula to find maximum. Maybe you have two. Okay, now let me do another. Let me give you another example. You can use your array formula to find, say, the maximum value for two arrays of data components of interest. How do I mean? Take for instance, you want to find the difference between this and this, meaning all of these data components, all of the data values, you want to find their differences. You do not only want to find their differences, you want to know the maximum difference amidst all of them. Let's take this column of interest now, or this. Okay, let me just copy this. Let me copy this and put it and bring it here, so we know that here's this the data set of interest we are concentrating on. Okay, now you are in an instance where you want to find the difference between the cost of goods and the number of goods sold, meaning you want to subtract 22 from 500. You want to subtract this from this from this from this. Now when you are done subtracting, you now want to find the maximum value for all of this subtraction. You can use your array formula, meaning you are going to put your equal sign, you put your max function. When you put your max function, you put in this first, right? Put your negative symbol, put in this. If you close this, follow it with what? Control Shift and Enter. What do we have? Okay, where I think I put in my negative symbol for each. Okay, I use it as much more or less like an array. Let me take it one after the other. So it's going to be the negative. We are finding the difference for each of the cells. Just a minute, that was a mistake. Let me put this in. Then click on this. Okay, so this is what I want. This is actually what I want to achieve. But this time I want to find the maximum amidst all of the values. Okay, so now let me come back to doing this. Now let me come back to inserting each of the columns one after the other. I just want to be sure I'm not omitting anything. Okay, so I think now I'm good to go. Let me put this to see. Okay. Okay, so I think we are good to go. I was actually correct. There's actually a 5,000 in my cell. So 5,000 minus 43.5 will give me 4,956. So this is the maximum difference between my cells or data component of interest. So you can see what your array formula can do for you. It can automatically look through all of the different differences between your arrays or data columns of interest and automatically pick the highest one. So you can perform multiple functions with your array for each of the different cells of interest. So that's that with your array formula. Any question on this before I proceed to our final worksheet, which is Introduction to Web Scraping? Any question, guys, just before we move on? So I think in the absence of question, let's just move on to Introduction to Web Scraping. Okay, so okay, let me see. My internet was down for the whole of REO. Damilola Akinola. Okay, sorry, your internet was down. Okay, so a quick one on the array formula. I said the array formula helps you to perform helps you to carry out either
Sorry, caller. Sorry.
Yes, please.
Please, time is fast spent. Can we just continue with the web scraping? The video is available on YouTube, so that means that it's quite explanatory. You can
Okay.
Yeah, you can check it out. So let's just go ahead, please.
Okay, no problem. So introduction to web scraping. Because of time, I will just run through this briefly. Okay, so of course we are in the era where we need to copy data from the internet and of course make use of that data. There are instances when you want to do when you want to analyze data from the internet. To save time, you might just go to the internet using your Microsoft Excel, copy the cell or the data of interest, and you bring it to your Excel spreadsheet, you analyze, and you're good to go. How do you achieve that? Of course, everything is achievable under your data tab. Under your data tab, you have different options. When you want to gather data from the web, particularly, just click on this your from the web icon, get data from web. Get data from web. Now, what do you do when you want to get data from web? First, you must know your link of interest or your site of interest. In this case, if I was to copy data now from, let me just say, list of the companies with highest revenue or highest net worth. Of course, you could have, okay, now look at this data set, right? Beautiful. You have this data set here. Probably you want to analyze the data set, you want to make money out of it. What do? And now you want to use it on your Excel spreadsheet. All you need to do is just to copy this link. When you copy this link, come back to your spreadsheet. Of course, on the address bar, you paste your link of interest and you click your go icon. When you click your go icon, you automatically come to the your browser. Of course, I have copied the link from my browser. Then I come to the dialog box from my new web query, paste the link on the address tab, click on go, and I'm good to go. As soon as I have my data of interest reflecting on this new web query, I can click import. You can then click import. So this is going to take a while. Then what pops up? Import data. Since this is a worksheet of interest, and of course, it's not as if we are changing it, we are copying it to a different worksheet. If you click OK, it should also take a while, and before you know it, your data will just pop up, and of course, you are good to go. So, of course, your data will be popped up in such a way that it will respect the rows and columns for the different data components of interest. Okay. As simple as it is, this is what you get. On this note, this brings me to the end of this course. I think it's time to permit questions. So Karen, over to you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Kola, for that session. So there are questions coming in already. So what Chinedu says, what if you intend to scrape for data from different sites? Chinedu, should I unmute you to ask, or I've done justice to your question?
Okay, I think I can read. You go to each site, I guess. Yeah, you go to each site, I guess. Of course, you want to copy each of your data set and mumble it in the same worksheet. For each of your worksheets, you can always paste your links on your new query tab, and of course, it pops up on different worksheets. It's just a function of getting your link of interest, copying it on your new query tab, and you are good to go. I don't know if I was able to answer Chinedu's question.
Hello, Kola. Sorry, the network broke for a bit. Can you come again with your answer?
Okay, yes. So I said that you will not want to mumble or put the same. you might not want to put the same data in the same worksheet. So you could get different worksheets per site. Of course, all you need to do is to get the link for each worksheet or for each site of interest. You paste the link in the new query tab. When you paste the link in the new query tab, you are good to go. It pops up, you import the data. You can do the same for another site. You import the data in a different worksheet. Then, if you now want to export or copy a column from one column, then you can do all the manual data cleaning or data processing yourself. However, if you have any other method as to copying multiple links in the same worksheet, please, you can share.
Okay, so there's a question from Genesis. He says, what happens when you just want a particular table in a website with multiple tables? In a website with multiple tables instead of all the tables?
Oh, in a website with multiple tables. I will still, for now, I will still want to attend to that manually. Probably when I'm done with that, I've copied all the data sets of interest. I might want to clean up my data to that table of interest. It's just more or less like, for now, my knowledge on web scraping is still limited. I might still want to do other findings as to limiting, or yes, as to getting the table of interest. So permit me, if that is helpful for now, if that's helpful for now. What happens when you want to do? Okay, I think Genesis. Hope my answer is still helpful. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Karen, are you there?
No, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm still there.
Okay. So, are there any other questions? Do we have any other questions, please? Okay. So, in the absence of none, thank you very much, everyone, for joining this evening. Thank you very much, Kola, from the entire EAGE Nigerian Council. From the entire team of the EAGE Nigerian Council, Nigerian chapter, Young Professionals. Thank you very much, Kola. It has been very exciting. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming this evening, for joining in. If you didn't get it clearly, you can, the video we uploaded to YouTube as soon as possible. Also, try to tune in into the webinar scheduled for this month. And then some feedback gotten was that a couple of people that joined were still beginners in Excel, because this class was more an intermediate class actually.
Yeah.
So we'll plan for for an introductory class where we cover things like filtering your data, sorting your data, basic formulas, functions, kind of referencing, conditioning, and if possible, things like VLOOKUP as well. So, but that will be in the future. And if Kola will have us, we are willing to have him. But please follow us on all our social media platforms so you'll be aware when these activities come up. Thank you, everyone. It has been a very exciting time. Yes, so feedback gotten has been very nice. Yes, the trend will not stop. Follow us. We come back to back with activities. We've had a a Python virtual classroom, Microsoft Word virtual classroom. We've had an Excel virtual classroom on how to use pivot tables. So most of them the recordings are available online. So just follow us. We have a lot of activities in the past and more lined up for the future. So thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you have a nice evening. Cheers.
Okay, guys, thanks.